Hi guys, so first GBHL tournament in a while. I went to a Birmingham Teachers Best, which is GBHL 80, hosted at Brum. Obviously, often go to the Brum ones, just because I like the venue and like the crowd. It's a nice venue, so I try and make it if I can. GBHL 80 on paper means that it should be more relaxed and fun as well. Although whether people actually bring less competitive lists to 80s, I don't know. But yeah, I went down anyway. So this one was an interesting format. So it's 4 days, 4 games spread across one day. So you had 2 games at 350 points and 2 games at 750, and there's sort of various sort of things you have to do in terms of continuity between the lists. I think you sort of pick either a faction or a theme and stick with it basically. I got a ticket for this pretty late, so I didn't really have much time to think. So after sort of brief consultation with the Brain Trust, it was obviously noted that I'm painting up Dunlendings at the moment, so why not take usurpers? So that's what I did. So my lists were 350 points. I got 26 models. I had Frecker, and he was leading 4 tribesmen with bow, 2 with the flaming brand, 4 with spear, and then 2 with nothing and no additional war gear. And then Wolf was on horse, leading 4 with bow, 2 with flaming brand, 4 with spear, and 2 with no additional war gear. So I should say the army bonus is that you get a 6-up feel no pain. So on a when you take a wound with the tribesman on a 6, it's saved. And I think you get some sort of bonus striking heroes, which doesn't really come up that much. But yeah, it's pretty nice, and all of the models, all the heroes in this have like specific rules. There's sort of layers on layers of things to remember, and as you'll see, I forget. But yeah, this list's pretty good. Frecker's not amazing, but he's also not a slouch. He sort of struggles from a lack of heroic strike and defense, I think. So he can sort of go in and chip away at warriors, but Wolf's the real beater. So it's not too bad though, because at 350 you're going to have low model count opponents. But you can sort of stick Frecker behind stuff as a support character, because he gives a +1 fight bubble to Dunland warriors. It's pretty nice. So he kind of sits at the back and, is just a little bubble. Sometimes he pitches in and kills a warrior. But then Wolf is just obviously a massive beater, because he's fight 6, 3 attack, 3 wounds. And then I think, what was he, 332, Mike Will Fate, I think. And his rules are okay as well, where he gets to re-roll a dual dice against heroes and re-roll 1s to wound. So it's not too bad. But yeah, I just sort of packed this out with bows. So I have 8 bows, which is pretty mad for 350 points. Wolf's obviously a pretty big beater for the points. Sprinkled in some flaming brands just for the dominant, and also in case I come up against Cav. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward. It's just sort of, you can play the shooting game if you want, or you can just sort of stick them in and see what happens. So yeah, that's the 350 point list. 750 is so I seem to have picked up a cold, which seems to happen a weird amount after I come back from tournaments. So I've got Frecker, he's leading 5 tribesmen with bow, 2 with flaming brand, 4 with spear, and then 4 with no war gear. Wolf's on horse, leading 5 with bow, 2 with flaming brand, 4 with spear, 3 with no additional war gear. He's got a Crebain as well in the warband. I've got General Targ on horse, he's got 4 warriors with bow, 1 with flaming brand, 5 with no additional war gear, 2 spear. And then I've got Thorn, he's leading a Roham traitor with banner, and then 4 with shield throwing spear, 4 with shield, 3 with bow. So 58 models at 750. Obviously the model count's very high, it's really good, and if since it's a dice game, and the more dice you throw, the better you'll do probably. So it's pretty nice in those terms. I think the weaknesses of the list, I don't have enough spears, but this is what I had painted. I only had 10 spears painted, so 10 is what we got. The Crebain's sort of nice to sort of dive in. I don't know what I do with him really. I think he sort of just jumps behind stuff and traps stuff, or just is annoying. Maybe charges a enemy hero and just sort of tries to tar pit them for a couple of turns. So I don't think he can pick up objectives, and he's not too bad if you're against someone with elven cloaks maybe, but wasn't too sure about that. And I think instead of general tar, you probably take 2 chieftains, but I haven't converted any because I I kind of can't be bothered really, because I think the new edition sort of killed my enthusiasm for converting a bit. Since obviously all the models are now like sort of as sold, so I'm a bit like I'll just wait until they release them. I think get some chieftains then. Targ's okay, but 100 points maybe is a bit much really. I like Master of Battle and his heroic defense is pretty nice, but I won't rumble on too long about the list. But again, the final thing there is that the Rohan were a bit annoying because I've got some of the new ones to paint up, and I've got 4 with bow and then 8 with throwing spear, because I feel like I just want to max out the throwing spears, because obviously you can use them as support, and then you get a 3rd bows and then you get 8 throwing spears. That's pretty nice. But I didn't have them painted in time, so I had to use what I had, which was 4 of each. But obviously a banner taking the place of one of the bows. But with that, let's just crack on and get into the games. So, game 1 was against Numenor, which was Elendil, and I think he had, 16 warriors, all had spear and shields, apart from 4 had longbows. We were playing Treasure Hoard, which I've not played before, and having played it now, I actually really like it as a scenario. It's obviously you're meant to sort of dig up and hold on to objectives, and there's a few extra VPs to sort of tempt you into the middle of the board. But yeah, it's pretty straightforward. So basically, because we deployed 24 inches apart, I basically just formed a big line with my bows and just moved forwards and shot a few times. I think I did. Well, I probably got 3 rounds of shooting in. Obviously, it meant that he was able to get his 3 objectives and then come on to my side of the board. I'd already picked up the objectives, so it wasn't too bad. So we kind of both had 3 objectives, and I got some turns of shooting, which were pretty nice. His longbows weren't too effective. Might have killed a few, maybe 2, but not too effective. And I think I managed to take out quite a reasonable amount, bearing in the low model count. It might have been as high as sort of 3, 4, 5, something like that. So not nothing. And it kind of meant that when I didn't actually say my opponent, I was playing Sam Miles. I played last time. So in the last tournament review at Brum, I played him, and he was playing his Boromir list, so still sort of Gondor themed. Anyway, it kind of meant the shooting, I think, broke him up a bit, and it meant he sort of came towards me in a bit of a ragged way, with Elendil sort of bringing up the rear, and it meant, just because of how priorities fell as well, that he ended up quite close to me, sort of within charge range, but I could sort of not charge Elendil. So basically what I did was just charge and trap all the sort of 4 warriors around Elendil, and then he had sort of 5 or 6 guys running up on my right flank underneath these train track type things. So I sort of swarmed the guys on my left with warriors, with Freka sort of just bringing up the rear a bit, and then I sent some dudes along with Wolf over to deal with the stuff on my right. And basically, I ended up swapping Freka over to my right, actually, just because I think I combated to get him away from Elendil, because I was just, it's not worth it. And it basically meant I cleaned up on both sides. Obviously, I managed to not charge Elendil on the first round of combat, just because I went second, so I just charged everyone who wasn't Elendil. And then I honestly think Elendil, he must have got 2 or 3 turns of combat, and I don't think he successfully heroic combated once. I think he won all the fights, although in the last turn I think he had to spend 2 might to win. But he did clobber some dudes. I think over the course of the game he probably killed 6 or 7 wild men. But since I was able to swarm and sort of kill the other stuff, it wasn't too bad. In terms of objectives, he had 1 guy hidden at the back who I got nowhere near. He had 2 guys sort of on my extreme left who I sent a few men after. I think he killed them and sort of hung on to those objectives. I think one of his guys died, but then the other one, because he had priority, just picked the second objective up. So he ended up finishing the game with 2. But they were nice and secure. And basically, because of the killing and Wolf just sort of combating off Numenorians as well, and sort of cleaning up a bit. I think it ended up with Sam being courted quite quickly. Just slightly unfortunate because I had nobody on his side of the board. I was sort of still slowly making my way over. So it meant that it was the score was actually pretty close in the end, because he still had 3 objectives and I hadn't managed to get anyone to his board edge. So I think it was actually both our leaders were untouched as well. I think it was only the unbroken thing that meant that I won that, so I ended up 9-6. So even though it was a bit of a drubbing, the score was actually pretty close. And again, I think sort of Sam did sort of what he could to mitigate. Like once, after the first round of combat when he lost loads of dudes, I think it was then Elendil just being a beast and not taking wounds and holding on to the objectives and stuff. So yeah, he managed to keep the loss quite minimal. That was good. It was a good game actually. I enjoyed it. But that was game 1 over with, and I was 1-0 up. So the second game was against Jack Whitefoot, who had Battle of Greenfields, and I think it was excuse me. Bull Roarer took with 3 Dunedain and then just a lot of hobbits. I think he had 56 or something. So I was not looking forward to. Well, I was looking forward to it. It'd be a nice game, but I mean, in terms of tournamentness, I wasn't looking forward to it because just swarms of hobbits are just nasty to deal with, especially at low points. But then Contest of Champions was drawn, and I was just like, oh, Frekka's not bad. We'll give Bull Roar a run for his money, just sort of squishing hobbits. And then I realised in this edition you choose a champion. So obviously Wolf was my champion. And again, it was pretty simple because we both deployed in the middle of the board. He got unlucky with his rolls in that he had to deploy all 3 of his Dunedain warbands at the back of the board, and only Bull Roar's warband was on the midway point. And what that meant is that I cleaned up 1 warband pretty quickly, and obviously Wolf was just hoovering it up. I think I combated turn 1, and I was already 4 points up because I killed 2 then 2. But it just meant I had a withering sort of hail of hobbit stones and bows on my flanks. Obviously I couldn't get everyone in combat because I had some spear supports and stuff, and I was sort of doing a bit of shooting back, but then very quickly decided just to peel off and run up into this kind of mini weathertop that he held one of his warbands up in. But I got absolutely shot to pieces, so I got nowhere near him up there. And once I killed his first warband, I sort of sauntered towards his back line. But honestly, just the shooting was just gross. I think I think the whole game he killed a couple in combat, but I think he ended up quartering. He did end up quartering me. But Bull Roarer basically, I have to keep saying it carefully, go Bull Roarer. He ran away to 1 and then basically just hid behind his line the rest of the game, and I was worried he'd sort of pop out and start combating around and stuff, and catching up with me that way. But I think by the last couple of turns I was quite far ahead with Wolf, so I probably wasn't going to get caught. And I think Jack sort of changed his plan to just tabling me. But ultimately it didn't work because Frekka and Wolf were sort of untouched, and I lost loads of wild men and only had a couple left really by the end of the game. But obviously it didn't matter because I managed to get the points for champion kills, and I'm pretty sure Frekka was untouched as well. So I ended 12-3 with that one. He broke me without being broken. Because I actually didn't do that well in combat with my wild men. Obviously my shooting did nothing. My wild men didn't kill that many. It was basically all Frekka and Wolf killing. So yeah, that was a good game, and it was two wins at lunchtime. So game 3. So this is after lunch, and this is when we were using our 750 point lists. I was against Dan Wright and his Kingdom of Khazad-dûm. So you had Durin, King's Champion, and the Dwarf King. And you had just a mixture of Vault Wardens, Iron Guard, Khazards, most of them Hearthguard, and then Warriors. A few Rangers sprinkled in as well. So pretty much what you'd expect. What were we playing? Fog of War. So I chose one of his heroes to kill. So I chose the king to kill because I thought it'd be easiest to kill because Durin's disgusting, and then the king's champion can use the fate from the 2 banner models, and also they upped his defense. So I thought the king's probably actually the easiest to kill. I chose to defend Targ just because he has heroic defense. It made sense to me. I'd have to use Wolf aggressively, so I didn't see any point in trying to protect him. Thorn was another option, but it's just, I mean, he's on foot and he doesn't have defense, so that seems pretty straightforward to me. I chose the woodland sort of on his back table edge. So there's a building sort of punctuating my side of the board, so I deployed either side of it, and I just basically had a massive bow line, and my plan was to basically just sort of envelop and swarm and sort of see what I could do from there. And then my Krebane could just go and sit in the woods or something and chill. So he had his 4 rangers up in a building sort of shooting back at me, and they did a bit of damage, but I think my shooting was actually pretty grim, because I think I killed 3 or 4 models. It might have even been a bit more than that. Maybe it might have even been as many as 5 before they got into combat. It's obviously impressive because I was mostly shooting at D7 with normal bows, and also with the mirrors causing I think is it -1 to shooting. So yeah, that was cool. And basically what I wanted him to do was just walk slowly towards me whilst I shot him, thin the herds down, and then get in and surround and just. Yeah, because I don't think dwarves shield wall too well since they don't have spears, and I was hoping just to kind of get a loose sort of swirling melee going on, and just using my numbers to trap and stuff, and just getting Wolf to be a troop killer type thing, and not getting too close to Durin. And obviously he's kind of easy to halo because he's only move 5. But Dan did something I didn't really expect, to be honest, which is because he split his guys into 2 as well, and but he then kind of reunited his guys and then just sort of barreled towards my smaller force with Targ and Thorn in it and the Rohan, and used 2 marchers to really close the distance, and it meant that obviously because I wanted to use my larger force to sort of just slowly manoeuvre and carry on shooting, but I kind of had to move full a couple of times to close the gap. So I hadn't quite appreciated how how far apart my 2 forces were. So I sort of lost a couple of turns of shooting with like 8 or 9 bows on my left, which was a bit silly. But the rest of this game's there's not too much to say really. I think he just sort of barreled into me, and his dwarves just chopped me right up. I just it's just. He just chopped and chopped and chopped, and I got to a point where I felt like I had to play Wolf aggressively because I was just losing too many dudes. So I sort of charged and sort of combated him into a risky place, and then obviously promptly the King's Champion sort of went into him, struck up and killed him because I struck as well, but it didn't matter, and because he was out of position, it was easy to trap because. My wildmen had been properly thinned out by this point, so I couldn't sort of screen him off, and I'd lost a few move offs as well, which wasn't great. I was trying to save Targ's might for defences, but I think I spent one on a move, and his Master of Battle obviously never went off. And yeah, he just totally cleaned up my wildmen, and even on my left flank where I had 10 guys to his 4, he just killed them all. I can't really do anything about that. It's just. But I did manage to run some dudes past everyone and sit in the woodland, so I claimed that. But it ended up with all my warriors in the middle and on my left just dying. Freka basically just bailed and just ran away to preserve the leader VP at least. Thorn got killed, and then it was evident that Dan was targeting Targ because he put during the king and some other boyos into Targ, and I think I defensed, but it didn't matter because I kept losing the bloody move off, so I couldn't run him away. So I ended up getting stuck there, trapped and killed, and it was it's just one of those. I think Dan was targeting Targ, like I said, and then he was trying to capture the building in the middle, and I basically didn't touch any of the heroes. I don't think I really won that many combats, to be honest. So I got completely chewed up. So I lost 14-6. So the saving grace is that the game ended quickly enough for me to preserve a few points in terms of holding his the terrain piece in his board edge, and Frecker being untouched, and a few more turns might have been a bit nastier, but so that was a bit of a hammering, but that was game 3, so on to game 4. So game 4 was against Adam Bissell, who's also on the Brum team with me. I don't think we've ever played before that I can remember. But he's got Men of the West, so he had all tin cans, and then Gandalf and Aragorn on horse. Obviously Gandalf doesn't have the Staff of Power, so that's interesting. Oh, he had Pippin on the horse as well, so technically another hero there. We played Convergence. I think it's a variation of an old scenario that I can't remember the name of, but basically you deploy in opposite corners, and then there's 4 objectives arranged around the middle, and you basically... the heirlooms actually, you pick them up, I think, and then you want them sort of in the middle of the board at the end of the game. They give you extra VPs, so you get some VPs for holding on to them, and then extra VPs for holding them in the middle. I didn't have a strong plan going into this one. I think my mind was a bit melted because I was on very little sleep because of babies and crying and teething and stuff, so that was exciting. But yeah, I sort of set up a couple of gun lines. I decided that because I put Wolf and the Rohan together, I thought I'd just try and get stuck into Gandalf's warband. So I played Wolf aggressively again, just sort of shoved him in, and it's a bit like he'll get surrounded and stuff, but I'll just roll a 6 and it'll be fine. And obviously I've got the charge bonus and stuff. And then hopefully that would hold up enough stuff for my other guys to get in, and hopefully just obliterate Gandalf's warband. I had my other warband set up just as firing line as soon as Aragorn poked his little head out. Adam then basically Gandalf didn't get a spell off this whole game. I either resisted them or they just failed to go off. So there's nothing to say about his magic really. But Gandalf sort of got stuck in the middle briefly, sort of with my warriors and stuff charging him. But his other side, he just sort of set up sort of near the middle of the board with an heirloom and sort of a shield wall. Aragorn ran off to kill these 6 bowmen I had on, off to the side, just picking up an objective. So he sort of spent a few turns murdering them. But then back at the top, Wolf did very well, sort of cleaned up, and I think early on I actually cleaned up quite a lot with Gandalf's warband, and I think I did a few wounds on Shadowfax as well, which I think went 3 fate total went away. So yeah, it's not too bad. But eventually, there was, I sort of cleaned up apart from 3 guys, and I basically failed to kill them the whole game. So I had 3-point traps on each of them just to try and see them off, and because I just kept failing to win a combat over there, it meant these 3 guys basically held up 9 of my models for the second half of the game, which in retrospect was pretty dumb, but I honestly thought I would just kill them and move on, but it just kept failing. And I basically had to get my top warband to sort of run back towards the middle, towards Targ and Frecker's warband, because I was quite confident with Targ and Frecker, because I had plenty of dudes, and Aragorn was nowhere near. He was busy sort of farting around with his bowmen, so I thought, great, I'll just get in and smash this warband. But I don't know what it was. I couldn't win. I couldn't win a thing down there, and I was just like, I'll do a combat with Targ, and then Targ was like, no. So I just bounced off the whole time. Obviously I got a few kills, but even with traps and stuff, it was just like, nope. So eventually he thinned down that warband. Aragorn finished killing those archers, came back and just sort of started clearing up. I started to run out of models. I had Frecker sort of just cheese it, as is his style apparently, when I play him. I had an interesting situation where I had Frecker. So I went second, and he had sort of Aragorn charged into something. I thought, well, sod it, I'll just chuck Wolf in. Because I was also a bit like, well, I've lost the game now, so I'm not going to podium because it's just kind of how it falls. So I was a bit like, sod it, I'll just chuck him in and whatnot. So I stuck stuck Wolf in. Heroic struck. I went up to fight 9. Aragorn went up to fight 8. So I was just like, I think I got him trapped as well, which was debatable. I think we were going to work it out whether I actually placed my model very well. But ideally, he would have been trapped. Obviously, didn't roll the 6. Aragorn did, and then Aragorn over the course of 2 turns just chops Wolf's head off because that was my last point of might. So that wasn't great. But it could have been glorious. Could have been glorious if I did get the trap off. Obviously, well, I still need 6s, but re-rolling 1s, like you never know. I could at least get him off that bloody horse. To be fair. So yeah, that was it. And then from there, just I was broken. Stuff started running away, and it just things kind of just went downhill from there. So I ended up losing that one 9-3. So again, that could have been way worse because by the end I had like nothing, and like even one guy with the relic like cheesed it, so someone else had to pick it up. And at the last turn as well, I moved Frecker first, like a complete sausage, and I sort of passed his standfast, then moved him away from everyone, and then I was just like, oh great, so I'm on courage test with all these lot, because Thorn was dead by that point, obviously. So it's just lucky the game ended at the first time of asking, to be honest. But that was probably me losing focus more than anything. But yeah, that was a good game, fun one to end on. So I lost 9-3. I had two objectives, I think. I think that's all I scored, and Adam had some objectives in the middle and broke me, so it wasn't a super high scoring game. But yeah, it's a good one to end on. And so overall, I ended up 20th out of 36, so I'd say that's pretty average. I don't have too many reflections about Usurpers of Edoras. I'm not sort of too competitively minded these days, to be honest, but I think one thing is there's a lot of rules to remember. So I remember one game I forgot that I was in the dwarf game. I forgot that God, what's his name? Wolf gets a reroll when in combat with a hero, which could have been fairly significant against the King's Champion. I did that thing where I just sort of, when I remembered like the following turn, I just quietly rolled to myself for my own peace of mind, and it was a 2, so it wouldn't have mattered. But you never know. And I forgot the 6-up sort of feel no pain save for probably like 2.5 games. So that could have been significant. It was mostly during the first game, which it wouldn't have mattered, and the third game where I got so battered, I don't think it would have made a difference. But I think everyone's just got their little rules. Like Frecker and Thorn are easy to remember because they're just little fight bubbles. Again, Thorn Targ Master of Battle is not too bad, but don't know what it is, just Wolves. I just struggle to remember that, and I've struggled to remember the Feel No Pain thing. But it strikes me as being much better at lower points than higher points, to be honest. I think at higher points people have the stuff, the tools to just like walk through my list, just clean up all the wild men. And my main threat's Wolf, who's like good, but 750, you get your Aragorns and Durins and stuff, so it's a lot scarier. Whereas, 350 points at me at 26 models with Wolf as well. I think that's pretty nasty. And obviously you could double chief it as well and do some more spam or something nasty like that. But enjoyed the tournament overall. Probably my last GBHL this year. So that's it. I've no idea where I finished. Probably not high. But I'll see you guys next time.